The wedding hall sparkled with golden chandeliers and satin-draped tables. Guests in glamorous gowns and tuxedos laughed as waiters glided between them with trays of champagne. At the center of it all stood Vanessa, the bride, in her jeweled white gown. Her every movement radiated pride, and her sharp eyes scanned the room like a queen guarding her throne. Near the entrance, a young musician named Daniel clutched his old violin. His clothes were plain, his shoes worn, and the violin case had scratches from years of use. He wasn't part of the hired orchestra, but had come with hope. Daniel played on the streets for coins, and tonight, he dreamed of sharing his music with an audience that might finally see him as more than a poor boy. When he asked politely if he could play a song, the wedding planner hesitated. "It's not scheduled," she whispered nervously. But Daniel's eyes shone with sincerity, and after a moment, she nodded. As Daniel lifted his violin, Vanessa noticed. Her face twisted in disdain. She marched across the floor, her gown sweeping, like a storm cloud behind her. "What is this?" she snapped. "Who let him in?" The hall grew quiet. Guests watched as Vanessa pointed at Daniel. "You can't play here. Look at you. Ragged clothes, scratched violin. This is a wedding, not a street corner. Leave before you embarrass us." Daniel's cheeks flushed, his hands trembling around the bow. He lowered his head, ready to turn back. Whispers rippled through the crowd, some agreeing with the bride, others pitying the poor boy. But before he could leave, a soft voice rose. "Let him play." All eyes turned. It was the groom's grandmother, seated near the head table. Her hair was silver, her dress simple but elegant, and her eyes kind. She smiled gently at Daniel. "Music is about the heart, not the clothes you wear. Go on, young man, play." The groom, standing nearby, nodded in agreement. "Yes, play for us." Reluctantly, Vanessa stepped back, her lips tight with fury. "Fine, but don't blame me when this ruins the evening." Daniel closed his eyes, lifted the violin to his chin, and drew the bow across the strings. The first note rang out, clear and haunting. Then another. Within moments, the hall transformed. The melody was unlike anything they had heard. Raw, beautiful, filled with sorrow and hope woven together. His music told stories of nights under the stars, of hunger and struggle, of dreams too big for the streets he played on. It carried pain, but also dignity. Every note reached straight into the hearts of the listeners. The chatter stopped. Glasses were lowered. Even the waiters froze mid-step. Tears glistened in the eyes of guests as the song swelled, filling the hall with a power money could never buy. Vanessa's smirk vanished. Her face paled as she realized the guests weren't looking at her anymore. They were looking at Daniel, admiring him. When the final note faded, silence hung heavy in the air. Then, suddenly, the hall erupted into applause. Guests stood to their feet, clapping and cheering. Some wiped away tears. The groom's grandmother clapped the loudest, her smile radiant. Daniel lowered his violin, overwhelmed. "Thank you," he whispered. The groom stepped forward, shaking his hand. "Your music is extraordinary. You've given this night something no amount of money could buy." Even the orchestra musicians bowed their heads in respect. Vanessa stood, frozen, humiliated. For once, no one paid attention to her glittering gown or her haughty posture. All eyes were on the poor musician she had tried to drive away. As the applause continued, the grandmother leaned toward Vanessa and said softly, "Remember, child, wealth can buy diamonds, but it cannot buy respect. Tonight that boy gave us something priceless." Vanessa's lips trembled, but she had no answer. Later, as the guests filed out, several offered Daniel opportunities, invitations to perform, promises of support. For the first time, his dream no longer seemed unreachable. And though Vanessa tried to brush off the moment, she knew the truth. One song from a poor musician had outshone her entire wedding. Because dignity is not worn on the body, it lives in the soul. And Daniel's violin had revealed it for everyone to see.